Hello everybody. Hi guys. Welcome to the discussion on simple budgeting and saving. I am just here to share some DIY tips on strategies that I have implemented in my own life and that have actually proven useful as I try to save. I'm coming from a place where I thought that I was unable to save because of my expenses, and I thought I wasn't making enough money, so I would not have been able to save, thus working toward any particular goal that I might have had at that time. However, over the years, I have learned that saving is not necessarily dependent on how much money you make, but rather how you actually order your expenses, and you have to look for ways to cut back on things that are not absolutely necessary. Not to say that you shouldn't do things based on what you want as opposed to what you need, but everything has to be done in moderation. I am here to tell you that saving is indeed possible irrespective of what you are making. You could be making minimum wage in wherever you are, and you could still be able to save. You might not be able to save the amount that you want, but over time you'd have accumulated some money that you can in turn perhaps put to work for you. So this evening, I'm just going to spend a few minutes and share with you some DIY tips, some do-it-yourself tips that you can actually implement if it is that you want to become better at budgeting and saving. And I know some of you guys are already very good with saving and putting money away. Hi, Antoinette. Hi, Journal. Good to see you. Some of you are actually already adept at saving and probably have different ideas than the ones I'm about to share. And if that's the case, please feel free to share. I'd be more than happy to view your ideas and perhaps build on them. I welcome any suggestions that you have. These are just things that I have implemented in my own life, and they have proven successful. So I just want to share with you guys. And by the way, the motivation for me doing this video is that I was talking to a friend of mine. Actually, it was a coaching client, and she has these great ideas about some things that she wants to do. She wants to start a little business, and I was asking her, how much money do you have saved? And she was like, girl, save? I don't have any money saved. No, she doesn't have any kids, and she lives in her own home. So I was a bit surprised that she thought it was impossible for her to save, and she's working a 9-to-5. She was telling me that she doesn't have enough money, or rather she's not making enough money to be able to save. So I shared some ideas with her, and she started laughing because she realized that these are things that were more than manageable based on her situation. So I realized that there might be other people out there like her who feel as though they're not able to save because of their expenses or because of the lifestyle that they're living. And so I wanted to share some tips. Hi Yannick, it's good to see you. And I basically just jotted down the ideas, so I'll be looking at the tablet as I go along. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is the importance of budgeting. And I know this might seem cliche, but budgeting is very important, because when you're able to look at a physical copy, whether it be on the computer or something in your hand on paper, as to what you're spending your money on, you have a better idea as to how to rearrange your spending and possibly siphon off a little bit to put aside for saving. So budgeting is important because it allows you to separate your needs from your wants. I started budgeting about 2 years ago, and it has proven to be very, very useful, and has helped me to cut back tremendously on my spending, because there were a lot of things I was spending money on that I didn't really need. So the first thing, as I said, when you're able to visualize your expenses, you can separate wants from need, and you can cut back. So you know the basic expenses that take care of the functional prerequisites, like your bills, your light bill, your water bill, your electricity bill. Those are mandatory. So that's probably one of the first things that you're going to take off or rather put down on the expenses side when you do your budget. I do a monthly budget. You can do whatever works for you. You can do it based on your pay period, whether it's be weekly, bi-weekly, or bi-monthly, and or you can do a monthly budget. I do a monthly budget even though I don't get paid monthly, and that works for me. When you do your budget, you want to highlight the things that are mandatory, like as I said, your bills. If you have credit card bills, your electricity bills, your rent, your phone bills, and you also want to look at other expenses, like for example, if you're paying back students' loan, or anything to that effect, then those things are mandatory. Once you put down what your expenses are, you have to look to see what it is that you're working with after you make those deductions. Now, whatever you have left, you have to take out things for additional expenses like traveling, or for those who are taking public transport, you might be able to work out the amount that you're going to spend for that month or for the period that your budget will last for. So you want to put that aside. And also grocery. You want to make a grocery list. And what I do when I make my grocery list is that I actually whenever I go to shop, I put the prices for the items. So if it is that when I go back, things have changed, the prices have changed, I look at other options. And sometimes it's time consuming, but it's worth it. And guys, don't be afraid to use coupons. If where you are, you have the ability to use those, don't be afraid to use them. There's no crime or shame in that, and they're free. And those have helped me tremendously. I always write down my grocery list. And a good friend of mine who is also a health coach, I did a session with him not so long ago, and he suggested to our group that what we need to do is basically shop the periphery when you go to the supermarket. If you start going up and down the aisles, you start picking up a lot of items that you do not need. Nicole Hutchins said, very helpful. Thank you for this. You're most welcome, sweetie. Now, what I'm saying is that when I say shop the periphery, what I mean is that when you go into the supermarket, if you notice, most supermarkets have like the fruits and the veggies on the side, and like the frozen goods and anything in the refrigerator, those things are usually on the sides. In the aisles up and down is usually the unhealthy stuff that you don't necessarily need. Now, I focus also on my health. We all have different grocery lists, and I'm not trying to tell you what to buy, but I'm just telling you that applying the method where you shop the periphery is very, very useful, because once I start filling up my cart with my fruits and my vegetables, my mind starts working in a different way, and I am able to now choose things that are in tandem with the particular diet that I try to maintain. So that's also very helpful. And as I said, write a grocery list and try as best as possible not to deviate from the things on your list. That's another way that helps you with your budgeting. And the second thing is that like I said, you're better able to identify the excess spending when you write down what it is that you want. So when you do your budget and you allot, for example, $150 a month for, and this is just a figure pulled out of a hat. I'm not saying that's what I spend or that's what you should spend. But when you highlight a figure and you put that in your expenses column, you realize that what you have left is going down already. Now, sometimes when you're done with your budget, you might realize that you don't have money to put aside for saving. But what you have to do now is to revisit that budget and look at what you can cut back. Believe me, cutting off a $5 here and a $10 there, it adds up. Hi Stacy, it's good to see you. Hi sis, hi Nordian, it's good to see you. Another thing that really helps is that when you actually look at the things that you are spending money on and you're able to now identify the things that are excesses, that $5 and $10, they add up. Now, if you're accustomed to taking Lyft or Uber, cut back on that. If it's not too cold outside, you can cut back. You can walk to the subway, you can take the bus or the train. In New York, where I live, for example, you can transfer. So if you take a bus and you swipe your card, when you go to the train, you get a free ride. So that's another option. Whereas if you, in the wintertime, if you call Uber, you might end up paying $20 one way. And in the summertime, that's like $8. So it changes. So you might want to work around things like that. That also helps with your budget. And so I come now to one of the major points I want to make. Hi, Tashani, it's good to see you. And the point that I want to make is that it is a myth that you don't make enough money to be able to save. That is a myth, because you will find again that you are spending money a lot on a lot of things that you don't need. You're making a lot of impulse buying decisions and buying choices. So I don't believe in that myth. And my recommendation, my suggestion is actually the big idea that I want to discuss tonight, which is to start with 10% of your income. Now again, my friend that I was talking to earlier this week, she was telling me that, or rather late last week, she was telling me that 10% is too much. Hi Kevin, it's good to see you. That she's not able to save 10% of her income, but that is not true. What you can do is this. In Jamaica, we have something called a standing order. I don't think that's in Jamaica, I think that's everywhere. Basically, what you do is that you set up a separate account. It can be with the same bank or with a different institution, and you have them take that out every pay period. So if, for example, you get paid every 2 weeks, what you can do is have your bank or the institution that you're saving with automatically take out that 10%. So if, for example, your pay is $1,000 every 2 weeks, when they take out that 10%, which would be $200, I know it's simple, but my math is off. So it would be $200 in that case, for example. You now have $800 to work with. Tell yourself that what you're getting paid is $800. Forget about the $200. And I know it takes time, but over time you'll realize that it works just fine. What if you were only getting the $800 to begin with? You would still be able to save even 2% of that. So if you can do that on less money, you can definitely save. So that's a suggestion that I believe it works very well, which is that, sorry guys for touching my hair all the time, which is that you can save that 10%, have it taken out immediately before you even start spending, and then try to make what's left of that that salary work for you. That's the starting point. If you feel like 10% is too much just based on your expenses at the moment, start at 5%, but do not go below that. Dalham says wealth on any income. Yes, most definitely. And I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that you all have the ability to be wealthy. Notice I didn't say rich. Wealth is above that. You have the ability to be wealthy. But it starts with you. Don't wait on some sort of magical financial windfall like winning the lottery. That happens for some people, but as I've been saying all along, that's just very few and far between. So don't focus on that. So if you have a stroke of luck like that, that's great. But you need to implement some plans and some strategies that are going to be helpful for you now. So start with siphoning off that 10%. Set up a standing order and make it in such a way that that account that you're putting the savings in is not easily accessible. So what I do, I have a credit union that I save with, and they gave me a card because they want you to use that money, of course. But they gave me a card and I didn't even activate it. I left it at home somewhere. I don't even know where it is right now, but it's somewhere there. And I just forget about that. Every pay period, they take out 10% from my salary and I make it work with what's left. Now, my friend, my best friend, she calls me frugal. She's always talking to me, saying to me that, Shauna-Kaye, you're too frugal, you need to spend some more money. But personally, I would prefer another term, a more likable term, like careful. But she says I'm frugal, and that's fine, because anyone who knows me very well knows that even though I like to dress up, I like clothing, I like jewelry, especially necklaces, as you can probably tell by now, I buy everything on a budget. I look for sales, I utilize coupons, and guys, Groupon is very, very useful. You get really good deals on Groupon. And Ebates. Ebates is amazing because it's like free money. When you buy things through Ebates, you basically get money in the mail. So you're getting back and it doesn't take that much out of you. Another suggestion that I have for people who shop online, for example. Hi Roger, good to see you. For people who shop online, for example, a lot of times you make impulse buying when you shop online because it's just right there. You go online, you look for what you want on Amazon, and you just start adding them to your cart. And before you know it, you're racking up $50, $60, $70, $100, and then the things are shipped to you. It's that easy. A few clicks, a couple minutes or hours to just peruse what's there, and it's in your basket, and before you know it, it shows up at your door. It's so easy. So you make a lot of impulse buying by going online. My suggestion to you is that if you are someone who shops online like I do, I buy a lot of things on Amazon. If you are someone who shops online as much as I do, if you see something that you would like or that you want, not necessarily need, allow it to stay in your cart for 24 to 48 hours. Just select the thing and put it on wait. Leave it in your cart for about 48 hours. I usually do that. And you know you're going to get it. In your mind you're going to get it, but you're just leaving it there for a while just to make sure. I can tell you this, chances are when you go back the next day and you look at the things, you find yourself starting to delete things. You're like, maybe I shouldn't get this. And you start removing. And all of a sudden, those 10 items that were in your cart before now comes down to 8 or 6. So you realize that if you had clicked that button from the beginning, you probably would have ended up buying things that you did not necessarily need at the time. Sorry. So my suggestion to you is that if you're someone who shop online, allow the things to rest in the cart for a little bit before you go back and decide to actually purchase them. That's another way to cut back as well. Now, another point that I want to touch on is like I said, try to automate your saving. So some people, what they do is that they split it up. The bank that you are actually, that you have your checking account with, you might have a savings account with them. So you can basically have your check deposited in your checking account, and then when you go to start withdrawing for your different expenses, you can just take out a little bit, 2%, 3%, and just put that in the saving. Make a commitment every pay period to put that small amount to the savings. It might seem little now, but trust me, over time it adds up. And then you want to have that major saving in that different institution, because it's good to, you know, spread it out a bit, especially now if you're in America, and not just America, but a lot of countries are impacted by whatever happens in America. So it is always good to have your money spread out a little bit. Never good to have everything in just one place. So that works as well. Thank you, Georgina. You know I like necklaces. Thank you. So that's another thing that actually works, is to automate your saving. Have them take it out. That way you don't have to make the decision that I am going to save X amount this month, or I am going to save X amount this week. Because when you have to do that, you find yourself putting it off and saying, you know what, maybe next time or maybe next week, I have these things that I have to do. But the truth is that you don't have to. And the other point I want to make is, do not be afraid to do it yourself, hence DIY. What do I mean by that? There are many things that we pay to get them done that we do not have to always pay to get these things done. For example, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, and things like that. Even going to the spa and getting that special treatment. For me, those things are what I do on special occasions, and again, I guess the frugality comes into play. But you don't always have to spend. Think about how much money you spend, for example, going to the nail salon every 2 weeks. And for people who wear like extension or get their nails done frequently, you know that the standard time is usually 2 weeks, and if you're pushing it, 2.5 to 3 weeks. Imagine going every 2 weeks to get your nails done. Samantha says, pay yourself before paying your bill. Thank you for that, Samantha. So that saving is actually you paying yourself. I love that actually. So yes, take out that saving and just say that this is for me. Shauna-Kaye, this is what you're paying yourself for, all the hard work that you have done, and you put that aside. It adds up. It might seem incremental right now, but it adds up, trust me. So like Samantha says, pay yourself before you pay your bills. Georgina says, I love DIY project. It gives me time with myself. Amazing indeed. First of all, for persons who know me, they know that even though I did a lot of pageantry coming up, wearing makeup is something that I started recently. Up until my mid-20s, I didn't wear makeup. I only started a few years ago. And when I started wearing makeup, I had to learn, because there are more than enough resources out there that teaches you how to apply your own makeup. Some people, they go to get theirs done, and I understand if you have a special occasion, your birthday, etc., that you will want to pay to get it done, and that's fine. But I know of people, believe it or not, who every weekend they go to get their makeup done, and getting makeup done is very expensive. If you go to MAC, for example, the base amount is $50. Now, if you're in Jamaica, that's over $5,000 every weekend to get your makeup done. What is that about? YouTube has a myriad of do-it-yourself videos. My good friend Crystal right here, who sells makeup, unique makeup, which is a natural-based makeup, she is amazing. And right now she's doing a series of 30 days of makeup application. She's showing you different techniques. It's free. All you have to do is basically add her on Facebook or look for her, Georgina Sanderson Hatch, and you can find ways that you can apply your own makeup instead of paying to get it done. So yes, University of YouTube, indeed, it's very, very useful for that do-it-yourself. So if you're paying $50 every weekend or every other weekend to get glammed up so you can go to the club, that's an additional $50 that you could put aside. And when you go to the club, guess what? You'll be buying drinks. And guys, alcohol is very expensive. That's the other point I was coming to. Don't be afraid to say no. So we all have friends, and we know on weekends our friends are going out, sometimes even during the week, just to hang out. And that's very nice. You know, I love the interaction. I love the meetups. That's amazing. But don't be afraid to say no. You know what the budget is that you're working with. So at times you can say to your friends, you know what? I'm going to pass this week, maybe next week. And that's fine too, because guess what? You go to the club, and within a few hours, before you know it, you have spent $100 on just drinks alone. Natasha says, true, I've never understood paying for makeup for a party. Well, that is so true, Natasha, but you know what? A lot of people do that. I've never understood it myself, but that's probably because I'm not too big on the party scene. And I could see myself paying for makeup once in a while, like on my birthday or some special occasion. But I'm not going to be doing that every other week like some people who I know. That money, it really adds up. And guess what? These are the people who are always broke. they're always coming to look for a loan. And on the point of loan, guys, I know you love your friends, I know you love your family, I know you love your peeps, but I am going to teach you one simple rule of thumb that actually works, and that is, do not lend your money to people who are incapable of paying you back. You heard me? Do not lend your money to people who are incapable of paying you back. What do I mean by that? If someone comes to you and says to you, I want to borrow $50, you might love that person dearly. It might be a family member or a friend. But guess what? You know that that person's expenses are way up here and their income is down here. So already there's that imbalance. How are they going to pay you back? Yes, Kevin, I said peeps. How are they going to pay you back? When you lend your money to someone, you need to sit down and work out a payment plan with that person, irrespective of who the person is. My family know, if I have a family member who comes to me to borrow money, I assess them, I know who they are, and if I'm capable, I will give them a gift. I'm not looking for a return because I know their capability. But I'm not going to lend my money to anybody who is unable to pay me back. That makes no sense, because that's going to cause problems. That's going to cause a rift between you and the person when you want your money back and they're not able to come up with that money. So guys, when you're lending large amounts of money to your friends or your family, which I'm not against, I'm not negating that, but I'm just saying you can do it. Don't be afraid to ask them for to sign a promissory note. Yes, I've seen people being taken to court for $100. Someone owes them $100 and they take them to court for it. When people want their money, they get really mean and they get green and they get angry. So to avoid those things, don't be afraid to ask someone who you're lending your money to sign a promissory note. So the other point that I want to make on saving is that I alluded to it earlier, which is frugality. Being frugal is not a crime. It is not a crime, guys. Even if someone is going to look at you and say you don't spend money, I'm not saying that you should treat yourself poorly. I don't treat myself poorly, but my friends know that I am frugal. I buy things that I need. And the thing is that I don't like to keep clothing for a long time, so I could easily be inclined, thank you, Suzette, I could easily be inclined to spend and overspend on clothing. So what I try to do is that I try to keep my closet very light. When I start building up and having too much clothes, I start giving them away. I give away a lot of things to Salvation Army and other charities because I don't want to have this large amount of clothing, which I've had that problem in the past, that I'm not wearing. So I try to keep my closet very light so I can see what I have and I can better assess what I need. Samantha says, when lending money, I have learned over the years, never look for return. If I can't afford to lose it, I'm not lending. Well, Samantha, I appreciate that point, but guess what? It's not a loan. And like I said, when I'm lending money, I always assess the person to whom I'm lending. And if I know they can't pay me back, I come to an agreement. I will say to them, you know what? I can give you half of it. Don't worry about it. Just see if you can source the rest of it from someone else. But I am not going to lend money blindly to someone who I know their financial situation and I know they're incapable of paying me back. It makes no sense. If you, like Samantha says, if you cannot afford to lose it, then don't lend it, because you are going to end up in despair when you want your money to do something and you can't get it. So yes, and back to the point that I was making. So like I said, being frugal is not a crime. So if it is that you know that you love clothing the way I do, then you want to find ways to mix it up. And I'm going over the time that I had intended, but that's fine. For example, what I've been doing lately is that I've been focusing on getting certain staple items, like, you know, certain plain blazers or, you know, jeans or anything that you feel like you can mix up and buy separate. Separates is good because you can mix and match. And the idea of some people are very superficial now, especially millennials, and with social media being such a big thing in our lives today, people have come out saying, I'm not going to take a picture in the same clothes twice, or I'm not going to wear the same thing twice and put it on social media. You know what? That idea is very superficial, and if they can do that, that's fine. They know what they're working with. But for you, you have to know if your situation can allow you to do that. Mr. Lyon says, you have a heart of gold. To give away clothing is a wonderful thing. Well, that's the least I can do. You know what? I get a lot of things too. People give me a lot of things. So if I'm not giving, then what kind of person am I? It's okay. You can give away things because you're always going to get. The karmic laws are such that whatever you give, you get back in one way or another. And you're not giving to get. But think about it. When you give, think about the feeling that you get inside. That's enough gratification for me. I feel good when I give, and it's okay to feel good. So I have no problem with that, and I don't give away things that I wouldn't wear. If they're in very poor quality, I usually throw them in the garbage. If the quality is good, that I would accept someone giving me something of that quality, then I will give it away. And I believe that that's how you should give. Don't give someone something because you don't want it or it's not good enough for you anymore. Only give what you would like to get. Now, when you do the mix and matching in your closet, what that does is that it helps you to be able to add separates, to mix it up, and no one will even notice. And who cares if someone notices? As long as you feel good in your clothing, as long as you feel good in what you're wearing, that's all that matters. So guys, do not be a follower, be a leader. Do not follow those people who say that I'm not going to take a picture and then come back on social media in the same dress. Guess what? If I know that this dress looks good with my green shoes, I'm not going to wear this dress with the green shoes, guy. But if I know that this dress looks good with my green pair of shoes or my pink pair of shoes, I'm going to wear it. And guess what? Next time, I know myself, when I take out this dress to wear it, I'm probably going to draw for those same shoes again because that's what it works with. I don't care. It is mine. And if you're going to only wear it once, chances are you probably rented it from a store, which is probably not bad business, but that's another story. Don't let anybody tell you how to live your life. You know your budget, you know your pocket, and you have to live accordingly. Remember, the aim is to budget and to save. Kevin says, indeed, I truly believe that my blessing comes down when I share with others. Indeed, indeed. So don't be afraid to share. Only share that which is good and that what you would want someone to give you. And just be happy. When you help other people, you feel happy inside. That's how the universe works. We all need help at some point in time. So don't be averse to helping other people. I know that these are just some very basic tips, but I hope that some of them at least were helpful and that you can go ahead and apply them, share them with your friends, because at the end of the day, we all have the ability to be great. We all have the ability to be wealthy, healthy, and wise. So guys, budget. You can find a lot of simple budgets on Google, even in Microsoft Word itself, Windows 10. You can find a lot of basic budgets that you can apply. Thanks for the hearts, guys. You can find a lot of basic budget templates that you can use, or you can create one in Excel or Word. It's very, very easy. It's not anything that is out of your reach or out of your realm. You can find these templates that you can use to start budgeting if you aren't doing that already. I budget monthly. You can do it bi-weekly, whenever your pay period, if it works best for you. If you have direct deposit, set up a standing order to have the money, the savings being deducted immediately as the money lands in your account, and then try to work with what's left of it. And follow Samantha's advice, which is that pay yourself before you pay your bills. Georgina says moneywise.org also provide lots of tips. Thank you so much, Georgina. So guys, moneywise.org, she's saying that it provides a lot of tips, so feel free to make use of the resources that are available to you. The internet is it's like a brain and nervous system in a sense. It has a wealth of information, a plethora of ideas that you can choose from. So make use of what you have available to you. Don't wait for someone else to tell you what you already know for yourself. Do not live your life according to what other people, according to standards set by other people. Live your life by your own standards. Kevron says, what are examples of budget templates? Well, I'm not sure I understand. Well, what I mean is that you have basic templates, Kevron. You can even make your own. You can go into Microsoft Word and just select tables and select the number of columns that you want. Make it very simple. You have income, you have expenses, and you basically just write down your expenses and your income. Or you can get a template from Excel on Google. Just type in budget template and a multiplicity of them will come up. I prefer the Excel one because it calculates the total for each columns for you. So all you have to do is enter the data. If you do Microsoft Word, then you're going to have to calculate the totals for yourself, and you don't want to be off. So it's better to use an existing template which will actually calculate it for you so you can see what you're working with in a timely manner. So yes, guys, like I said, make use of the resources that are available. And I'm going to recommend a book that all of you should try to read on your downtime, and it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm sure most, if not all of you, have already heard of it. It's written by the Hawaiian Robert Kiyosaki, and it's very useful. It gives you a different perspective on what are income and expenses, what are assets and liabilities rather, and it gives you a different insight. It's very useful. It helps with saving, with actually putting your money to work for you and allowing you to basically become wealthy irrespective of your starting point. Hi Rondine, it's good to see you. Guys, I hope you found some utility in what I shared with you this evening. I will keep sharing just things that work in my own life with you, and I hope that you can find at least one thing that you can implement in your life and to share with your friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, visit my website at www.shauna-kaye.brown.com. I'm on Twitter at skb_brown, and I am on Instagram as skb renaissance woman. Feel free to join me in any of these platforms. I am more than happy to share information with you. And if you have any suggestions, like Georgina just shared with us just now, then feel free to leave them in the comment box. I'm going to get to your comments and respond in a timely manner. Until next time, thank you for joining me, and I will see you soon. Have a good night, everyone. Hi,